You already know this feeling. Ramadan ends and suddenly something inside you becomes quiet again. The discipline fades, the energy disappears, the Quran that once felt close now feels distant. The nights that were once filled with purpose become ordinary again, and slowly, without even noticing it at first, your Iman begins to drop. What makes this feeling even more confusing is that just a few days ago, you were a different person. You woke up before dawn without complaining. You controlled your anger more easily. You watched your words more carefully. Your heart felt softer. Your mind felt clearer. You felt closer to Allah than you had felt in months. So the real question is not just why Iman drops after Ramadan. The real question is why you were able to become that person during Ramadan but struggle to remain that person after it ends. If you truly understand the answer to that question, you will unlock something powerful that can completely change the way you live the rest of the year. The truth is that Ramadan exposes something most people never think deeply about. Your Iman is not permanently weak. Your Iman is actually capable of becoming incredibly strong. Ramadan proves that to you every single year. For 30 days, you prove to yourself that you are capable of discipline, patience, worship, restraint, reflection, and self-control. You prove that you can wake up earlier than usual, sleep less than usual, eat less than usual, and still function while prioritizing your relationship with Allah. The same person who struggles to pray on time outside Ramadan somehow finds the strength to stand longer in prayer during Ramadan nights. The same person who says they are too busy to open the Quran suddenly finds time to read it daily. Ramadan reveals a version of you that you sometimes forget exists. It reveals your spiritual potential. But then Ramadan ends and the world quickly rushes back in. Your routine changes overnight. Your schedule shifts. The community atmosphere disappears. The late night prayers stop. The constant reminders fade away. The spiritual momentum you built slowly begins to slow down. And because most people never truly prepare for life after Ramadan, they begin to slide back into the exact habits they struggled with before the month began. This is why the drop in Iman after Ramadan feels so sudden. It is not because Ramadan changed you temporarily. It is because the environment that supported your transformation suddenly disappears. Think about how powerful your environment is. During Ramadan, everything around you reminds you of your purpose. The pre-dawn meals wake you up before sunrise. The fast reminds you throughout the day that you are actively obeying Allah. The entire Muslim community moves together in the same rhythm. People talk about worship more often. Mosques become more active. Islamic reminders appear everywhere. Even your social conversations change. It becomes easier to stay focused because the entire atmosphere pushes you in that direction. Ramadan does not just strengthen your Iman internally, it surrounds you with reminders that protect it externally. After Ramadan, those reminders become quieter. The normal distractions of life return. Your phone takes more of your attention. Your schedule fills with things that once again compete for your time. The constant feeling of spiritual urgency fades away. Without realizing it, you begin replacing acts of worship with habits that require far less effort. This transition is not always dramatic. Sometimes it is subtle. One missed prayer becomes two. One skipped Quran session becomes a week without opening it. One night of scrolling your phone replaces the quiet moments you used to spend reflecting. Slowly, the spiritual rhythm that Ramadan built inside you begins to weaken. But there is another reason your Iman drops after Ramadan that is even deeper than routine changes. Many people treat Ramadan like a spiritual sprint instead of a training season. They push themselves extremely hard for 30 days without building systems that will carry them through the rest of the year. Imagine someone who goes to the gym every single day for 1 month, trains intensely, eats perfectly, and then completely stops exercising once the month ends. The strength they built will slowly fade because the habits that maintained it were never designed to continue long term. Ramadan works the same way for many people. They perform large acts of worship during the month, but never build smaller, sustainable habits that will survive after it. The irony is that consistency is far more powerful than intensity. A small action repeated daily throughout the year shapes your character more deeply than a large action performed temporarily. Ramadan is supposed to teach you that lesson. It is meant to show you what you are capable of, so you can carry a portion of that discipline forward. But when Ramadan ends, many people subconsciously think the spiritual effort is finished. They feel like they have completed a task instead of beginning a transformation. When that mindset takes over, the drop in Iman becomes almost inevitable. There is also a psychological shift that happens after Ramadan that many people overlook. During the month, you feel like you are part of something bigger. Millions of Muslims around the world are fasting at the same time. They are praying at the same time. They are experiencing the same spiritual struggle you are experiencing. That shared experience creates a sense of collective motivation. But when Ramadan ends, the sense of collective effort fades. The worship becomes a more personal responsibility again. Without that shared atmosphere, it becomes easier for your motivation to weaken. Another reason Iman drops after Ramadan is that people often expect themselves to maintain the exact same level of worship they had during the month. When they fail to match that level, they feel discouraged and slowly begin abandoning the habits completely. This is a dangerous misunderstanding. Ramadan was never meant to be your permanent maximum level. It was meant to elevate your baseline. The goal was never to maintain the exact same schedule of worship you had during those 30 days. The goal was to leave Ramadan as a stronger version of yourself than the one who entered it. The real tragedy is not that your Iman drops slightly after Ramadan. Some decrease is natural because the intensity of the month is unique. The real tragedy happens when people allow their Iman to fall back to the exact same level it was before Ramadan began. That means the month passed through their life without producing a lasting change. Ramadan came to transform you, not just inspire you temporarily. It came to wake up parts of your heart that had been asleep. It came to show you that you are capable of more discipline, more patience, and more spiritual focus than you believed. If you look carefully at your own experience, you will realize something important. The version of you that existed during Ramadan was real. That person was not pretending. That person was not artificial. That was genuinely you at your best. The calmness you felt, the clarity you experienced, the closeness to Allah that warmed your heart during those nights, all of that came from within you. Ramadan did not create those qualities out of nothing. Ramadan simply removed many of the distractions that normally bury them. And this realization leads to a powerful truth that most people overlook. The goal after Ramadan is not to recreate the entire Ramadan atmosphere. That would be impossible. The goal is to protect the core habits that kept your heart alive during the month. If you can hold onto even a few of those habits consistently, your Iman will stabilize instead of collapsing. Your connection with Allah will remain strong instead of fading away slowly. The people who maintain strong Iman after Ramadan are not the ones who try to maintain extreme worship schedules. They are the ones who become very intentional about protecting small, daily acts of devotion. They understand that the real battle begins after Ramadan ends. When the excitement fades and the routine becomes ordinary again, that is when your sincerity is truly tested. That is when your discipline becomes real. In many ways, Ramadan is like a spiritual mirror. It shows you who you can become if you remove the distractions that constantly pull you away from your purpose. When the month ends, you are left with a choice. You can slowly drift back to the person you used to be, or you can begin building a life that protects the best version of yourself that Ramadan revealed. Because the truth is that Iman does not disappear overnight. It weakens through neglect. It weakens through distraction. It weakens when the habits that nourish your heart slowly disappear from your routine. But the opposite is also true. Iman grows when you intentionally guard the small actions that keep your heart connected to Allah. And once you understand the exact habits that protect your Iman after Ramadan, you will realize that staying spiritually strong throughout the year is not nearly as impossible as it once seemed. The moment you realize why your Iman drops after Ramadan, another question immediately appears in your mind. If the fall is so predictable, why do so many people repeat the same cycle every single year? They rise spiritually during Ramadan, feel incredibly close to Allah, promise themselves they will never go back to their old habits. And yet a few weeks later, everything slowly fades. The answer is simple but uncomfortable. Most people leave Ramadan emotionally inspired, but they leave without a strategy. Inspiration feels powerful, but it is temporary. Systems are what preserve change. If you want your Iman to remain strong after Ramadan, you must shift from emotional motivation to intentional structure. The strongest believers are not the ones who rely on bursts of spiritual energy. They are the ones who design their daily lives in a way that constantly feeds their faith, even when motivation is low. The first step is protecting the smallest acts that kept your heart alive during Ramadan. During the month, you probably increased many forms of worship at the same time. You prayed more, you remembered Allah more, you spent more time reflecting, and you tried to control your behavior more carefully. But since trying to maintain all of that at once after Ramadan can feel overwhelming, so many people subconsciously give up everything instead. The wiser approach is to choose a few core practices and guard them with your life. When a small action becomes non-negotiable in your routine, it quietly stabilizes your Iman over time. It might be a few minutes of reflection every morning. It might be reciting a small portion of the Quran daily. It might be making sincere supplication before sleeping. These actions may seem small compared to the intense worship of Ramadan, but consistency transforms them into powerful anchors for your heart. The second step is protecting your environment. Remember that Ramadan strengthened your Iman not only through your personal effort, but also through the atmosphere around you. After Ramadan, you must intentionally recreate small pieces of that atmosphere in your daily life. The voices you listen to, the conversations you engage in, the content you consume, and the people you surround yourself with will either nourish your faith or slowly weaken it. If your environment constantly pulls your attention towards distractions, your heart will struggle to remain focused. But when your environment regularly reminds you of your purpose, your Iman becomes easier to protect. Even a short daily reminder, a meaningful conversation with a friend who cares about their faith, or spending a few quiet moments away from digital noise can restore the spiritual clarity you felt during Ramadan nights. Another powerful step is learning to respect momentum. Spiritual strength grows the same way physical strength grows. It develops gradually through repetition. When you skip one good habit, the real danger is not the single missed action, The real danger is breaking the rhythm you had begun to build. Protecting your momentum means refusing to let temporary laziness turn into permanent neglect. Even on your busiest days, do something small that reconnects your heart to Allah. When the action is small enough, excuses lose their power. It is also important to understand that fluctuations in Iman are part of the human experience. No one maintains the same spiritual intensity forever. The goal is not perfection. The goal is direction. As long as your life continues moving toward Allah instead of drifting away, your Iman is still alive and growing. When you accept this reality, that you stop feeling discouraged by temporary dips and start focusing on long-term consistency. Perhaps the most important mindset shift after Ramadan is remembering that the month was never the destination. It was the training ground. Ramadan trained your discipline, sharpened your awareness, and reminded you of your true priorities. The real test begins after the month ends, when the environment becomes ordinary again and no one is watching your efforts. This is where sincerity reveals itself. This is where your private relationship with Allah either grows stronger or slowly fades. Imagine meeting the next Ramadan as a stronger version of yourself. Instead of starting the spiritual journey from zero again, imagine entering that blessed month with a heart that has remained connected throughout the year. The prayers would feel deeper. The Quran would feel more familiar. The nights would feel more meaningful. That transformation does not happen suddenly when Ramadan arrives again. It begins in the quiet days after it ends. So when your Iman feels like it is slipping after Ramadan, do not panic and do not feel hopeless. Recognize it as a signal reminding you to protect the habits that keep your heart alive. A signal reminding you that faith requires continuous care. The same discipline that carried you through 30 days of fasting still exists inside you. Ramadan already proved that. The person you became during Ramadan was not temporary. That person was the real you, uncovered. And every day after Ramadan is another opportunity to bring that version of yourself back to life.